Have you ever truly known someone? I mean really known them, beyond the smiles, beyond the shared memories, beyond the version they present to the world? We build friendships on trust, on the belief that what we see is authentic. But what if that trust was built on quicksand? What if the person you called your best friend, the one who held your secrets, your vulnerabilities, your darkest moments, was harboring something far more sinister behind their eyes? Today's story explores the chilling reality that sometimes the people closest to us are perfect strangers. When Alex discovered his best friend Connor's journal, he thought he might find some personal thoughts, maybe a few secrets. Instead, what he found shattered his reality and forced him to question everything about their 10-year friendship. This is the story of betrayal in its purest form, when the mask slips and reveals the face underneath. Alex and Connor had been inseparable since their freshman year of college. They were the kind of friends people envied, finishing each other's sentences, sharing an apartment after graduation, being each other's emergency contact. Their friendship had weathered countless storms, failed relationships, family tragedies, career setbacks. Connor was the stable one, always calm, always rational, always there with advice that seemed wise beyond his years. Alex admired how Connor could navigate social situations with ease, how people naturally gravitated toward him. "You're like everyone's therapist," Alex would joke, watching Connor console yet another friend in crisis. When Connor landed a prestigious position at a psychology research facility, Alex wasn't surprised. His friend had always shown an uncanny ability to understand people, to know exactly what they needed to hear. What Alex didn't realize was that Connor's interest in human behavior went far beyond professional curiosity. It was an obsession that consumed him, one that turned real people into subjects for his personal experiments. The discovery happened by accident. Alex was searching for an important document Connor had borrowed, tax forms that needed to be submitted by the end of the day. Connor was away at a weekend conference, unreachable by phone. After searching the obvious places, Alex reluctantly entered Connor's bedroom, something they rarely did despite their close friendship. Connor had always been particular about his private space. The document wasn't on the desk or shelves, but as Alex moved some books aside, a leather-bound journal fell to the floor, opening to a random page. Alex meant to respect his friend's privacy, to close it immediately, but the single sentence caught his eye. Subject A. Alex responded as predicted to the artificial crisis I created. Alex froze, his heartbeat suddenly loud in his ears. Subject A? With trembling hands, he began to read entries dating back years. Meticulously documented observations, manipulations, and experiments. All with him as the unwitting subject. The journal revealed a Connor that Alex had never known existed. Page after page detailed how Connor had systematically tested Alex's emotional limits, created artificial scenarios to observe his reactions, and even sabotaged several of Alex's relationships to document abandonment response patterns. Connor had deliberately triggered arguments between Alex and his ex-girlfriend by planting seeds of doubt in both of them separately. He had anonymously sent Alex's job application to other companies when Alex was content in his position, curious to see how he would handle unexpected opportunity versus loyalty. Most disturbing were the sections where Connor analyzed which phrases and approaches were most effective at making Alex feel indebted to him, ensuring the continuation of their friendship on Connor's terms. The clinical language was jarring, Connor referring to their movie nights as trust-building sessions and their heart-to-heart conversations as data collection opportunities. Alex's entire world tilted on its axis as he realized that what he had experienced as genuine friendship had been an elaborate psychological experiment to Connor. As Alex continued reading, the manipulation became even more apparent. Connor had strategically positioned himself as Alex's primary support system by subtly isolating him from other friends. He would make comments that planted seeds of doubt about other relationships. "Don't you think Jake seemed dismissive of your ideas at dinner?" Or, "I noticed Sarah checking her phone a lot when you were talking." Tiny comments that, at the time, seemed like observations from a concerned friend. Connor had even created artificial emergencies to prevent Alex from attending important networking events that might have expanded his social circle or advanced his career. The journal contained a particularly cold entry from 3 years prior. Subject continues to demonstrate high levels of dependency following the orchestrated friendship fallout with Group B college friends. Intervention successful. Subject now consults me before making significant decisions, indicating optimal influence achieved. Alex felt physically ill, remembering how grateful he'd been when Connor had stood by him during that mysterious falling out with his other friends. The deeper Alex delved into the journal, the more he discovered that Connor's manipulation extended beyond their friendship. Connor had an entire section dedicated to what he called his social laboratory, their shared circle of friends. Everyone had been categorized, analyzed, and subjected to various behavioral experiments. There was Subject B, Emma, whom Connor had deliberately given contradictory advice during her career crisis to observe decision paralysis in action. There was Subject C, Michael, whose relationship Connor had helped save only to document attachment formation toward the perceived savior. Most chilling was the realization that Connor had been using information shared in confidence, vulnerabilities, fears, insecurities, as leverage to shape behaviors and outcomes. Alex found detailed strategies Connor had employed during group dynamics, creating artificial tensions and resolutions to position himself as the rational mediator. The friend group had been nothing more than a controlled environment for Connor's social experiments, with none of them aware they were lab rats in his personal study of manipulation. One particular entry made Alex's blood run cold. 6 months ago, he had been offered his dream job in another city. After weeks of deliberation and lengthy conversations with Connor, he had decided to turn it down. The position hadn't seemed worth leaving his support network, especially Connor, who had been supportive but had subtly emphasized all the risks and uncertainties. The journal told a different story. Subject A was presented with career advancement opportunity that threatened our established dynamic. Implemented doubt cultivation strategy over 3-week period. Emphasized isolation factors, financial insecurity scenarios, and potential relationship complications. Successfully neutralized threat to current research environment when subject declined position. Note, subject displayed signs of regret following decision. Implement reinforcement strategies to prevent reconsideration. Alex sat on Connor's floor, journal in hand, as the full weight of this manipulation crashed over him. Connor had deliberately sabotaged the biggest opportunity of his career simply to maintain his psychological hold. The most recent entries revealed something even more disturbing. Connor was growing bored with his research. Several passages discussed potentially escalating the experimental parameters to study Alex's response to more extreme emotional stimuli. Connor had begun documenting potential scenarios that would cause maximum distress without permanently severing their relationship. He had been researching techniques used in cult deprogramming and emotional abuse recovery, noting that the subject's resilience threshold appears higher than initially hypothesized, requiring more significant interventions to observe genuine crisis response. There were drafts of elaborate scenarios designed to make Alex question his reality, his worth, and his sanity, all in the name of Connor's twisted research. Reading these planned manipulations, Alex realized with horror that Connor wasn't just studying him, he was preparing to break him systematically, piece by psychological piece. As the shock began to subside, it was replaced by a hollow ache and then, unexpectedly, a strange sense of clarity. Alex carefully photographed key pages of the journal as evidence, then returned it exactly as he had found it. He didn't confront Connor immediately. That would have been playing into the game on Connor's terms. Instead, he spent the next week meticulously untangling himself from Connor's web. He reconnected with old friends, discovering that many of the falling outs had been engineered through Connor's subtle manipulations. He secured his own apartment and began quietly moving his possessions while Connor was at work. He sought out a therapist specializing in psychological abuse, bringing the journal photos as evidence of what he had endured. Most importantly, he began rebuilding his sense of self, reclaiming decisions and preferences that had been subtly shaped by Connor's influence. By the time Connor returned from his conference, Alex had already moved out, leaving behind only a note that read, "Experiment concluded. Subject no longer participating." When Connor called, voice frantic, demanding explanations, Alex simply said, "I read your journal." The silence that followed was deafening. There was no denial, no excuse, just a cold calculation that Alex could almost hear through the phone as Connor processed this unexpected variable. "You weren't supposed to see that," Connor finally said, his voice eerily calm. "It wasn't personal, Alex. It was research." In that moment, Alex realized that Connor was incapable of seeing the horror in his actions. That to him, people were puzzles to solve, systems to hack, emotions to manipulate. "Goodbye, Connor," Alex said, ending the call and blocking the number. In the months that followed, Alex learned that Connor had left the city, taking a research position across the country. Occasionally, Alex would hear from mutual acquaintances that Connor had asked about him, seemingly unable to understand why their friendship had ended so abruptly. The predator, for once, was confused by its prey's escape. Some stories leave you shaken, not just because of what happened, but because of what they reveal about the people we trust. The dark reality is that manipulative relationships exist all around us, sometimes hiding in plain sight behind the mask of friendship, love, or mentorship. If this story made you reflect on your own relationships or opened your eyes to hidden manipulation, share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever questioned someone you thought you knew? Your insight might help someone else find clarity. If you value stories that peel back the layers of human behavior, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. We uncover truths, both haunting and healing, every week. Until next time, stay kind, stay sharp, and stay curious.